next we're going to have Judge Eric Levinson. When I talked to him earlier in the week, he said if I could all possible, I'll try to be there. So from Raleigh.
But I want to stay. But I want to stay. I love this area. Thank you for having me. And, thank you all for inviting me to be with you. I don't think I'm going to take 5 minutes. I do want to share a few things with you. I'm Eric Levinson. I'm presently a Superior Court judge, and I'm a constitutional conservative. And let me share with you what I believe that means. What it means to me at the end of the day is that we place individuals on the bench who understand that at the end of the day we're simply lawyers. Those lawyers who happen to put on black robes and go into the courtroom, and do we have any local Superior District Court judges with us here today? Those individuals who go into the courtroom and place on those robes, we are accountable to the people, we're accountable to you, but we are accountable to you in different ways than our elected representatives, to the State House or to the Federal House, Federal Congress. It's very different. And as a constitutional conservative, our judges have a very limited sphere of influence. And I've been on the bench since 1996, first as a district and family court judge, Superior Court judge, North Carolina Court of Appeals. And so I've been there, and that has been what I've tried to demonstrate over all these years. And frankly, I hope that you share with me what I consider to be a frightening thought, and that is that everyone does not share that ideal. Everyone does not share what I've always believed is a very simple, fundamental idea, and that is, again, that judges' sphere of influence is very limited. We're not there to make public policy choices, and that our institutions of government are strongest when people recognize that. And so when I speak about being a constitutional conservative, that's what I mean. As a judge, my function is to administer the law, help hold the country. All of us, frankly, have an obligation to help carry our federal and our state constitution on our shoulders. But as a judge, it's my role to enforce the law, punish the guilty, adjudicate disputes. And that's it. That's a simple approach, and that is what I have always tried to do. And let me share a couple of things with you, and then I'm going to try to sit down in a few minutes. All of our judges, district, Superior Court, Court of Appeals, etc. My friend Judge Southern, who's running for the Court of Appeals, I know he shares these sentiments. All of our judges make constitutional decisions every day. Civil courtrooms, criminal courtrooms every day. But the 7 members of the Supreme Court of North Carolina have a special relationship with that all-important document that we know of as the North Carolina Constitution. That document, obviously, as we know, memorializes our sovereignty. And the 7 justices of the Supreme Court have a responsibility, the ultimate responsibility in the state, of applying and interpreting that document. And obviously, as a candidate for the Supreme Court of North Carolina, I'm asking you to have faith in me as I seek to participate with the Paul Newbys and Bob Edmonds and the Barbara Jacksons of the world in Raleigh. That responsibility that is held by the Supreme Court is a very sacred responsibility. It's a responsibility that I take very seriously, and again, I ask that you have faith in me. I will share with you, again, I've shared with you that I've been blessed and privileged, frankly, to serve you as a district and family court judge, Superior Court judge, Court of Appeals judge. But frankly, the greatest honor that I have ever had was when I left the North Carolina Court of Appeals 5 years into an 8-year term in 2007. When the Bush administration asked me to help lead what we called the civilian rule of law team in Iraq, and then I moved into Afghanistan for a different type of role for the government. That was my greatest honor. I have seen firsthand individuals who do not enjoy liberties, and I carry that with me in the courtroom. I carry my faith with me into the courtroom, and I carry my obligation every day to provide honest public services, to be a consistent jurist, and to do my very level best every day to try to reach the correct result and to hopefully make you proud of our judicial institution. So I am very pleased to be with you here today. I will be on your ballot, by the way, on May 6th, and I hope to have your support. And I have some, I call it propaganda. I have some materials that are on your way out. I'm sorry that I could not be here at the beginning, but I'm very fortunate and blessed to be here with you. And guess if anyone has any questions,
Right.
I don't know. But thank you very much, and I hope that you'll support my candidacy this year.
Do we have any questions? No one else. Michael?
Judge Levinson.
Eric, always.
Eric, thank you very much for your service, and for, I'm sure there are many people in Iraq who are very appreciative of the government, the stability you helped give them. One of the questions I think, there's a lot of questions I'd like to ask you. One of the things I think is most important is that with our style of education and across the country, for future generations, this is the education of our children is the next generation. What they believe is to be the way is what they will enforce and what they'll live their lives understanding. Have you had a chance yourself or your office to review some of the stuff coming out of the essential standards coming down with the Common Core curriculum? Do you find it sufficient? Does it address your office? Does it teach future generations about your office and equip them with an understanding so that they can make educated voting decisions?
And great question, by the way. Was it Chris? Is that right? Michael, I'm sorry. Let me say, I'll say a couple things. It is probable that much of what has happened, what has come out of the General Assembly in Raleigh over the last 2 to 4 years, much of that, frankly, is making its way into the courts right now. We don't frequently read about all these cases, by the way, but we're seeing in Superior Court and in the Appellate Division challenges in all kinds of small ways that make big impacts in the area of labor, education, our business environments. I can say a few things to respond to your question. And because any of those actions on the part of the DPI or those coming out of the General Assembly, many of them are going to be challenged. I can't give you a specific answer to what I would do, but I can say a couple things. Number one, I value sovereignty. Number two, the courts, even in the Leandro decision, many of you have followed the Leandro case since the early 90s. It's our longest standing case in North Carolina dealing with education, frankly, and it's still ongoing. Even our courts have consistently said that there's some line between giving deference to the General Assembly in terms of its policy-making choices and when the court is going to step in. And that's a recognized principle. Number three, I can tell you that their child, whatever that means in terms of getting an education. And I will share this with you too, and take it for what it's worth. I have served on a charter school board. I have good support, by the way, inside the charter school movement. But I will share with you that those types of things inside the Common Core and those sort of things, whether or not, and you hit a really great big a really big nail on the head, whether or not North Carolina, to what extent can we still spread our wings as it relates to education, given the federal apparatus and the federal involvement and engagement in education and everything else? So I don't know if that helps you at all, but I can tell you, I can't say a lot more, but I can share with you that as a citizen, obviously I value and concerned about education just like everybody else is. And generally speaking, I'm concerned about sovereignty, and I'm concerned about deferring to the General Assembly, which as judges, fundamentally that's part of our role. So that's a longer question than you wanted me to, a longer answer than you wanted. Yes, ma'am.
Sort of a general question occasioned by a crawler I saw living across the street. If the state Supreme Court makes a decision, a determination,
I'm sorry, on termination?
A
and a juvenile?
decision on
Okay.
a case.
Okay.
Can Eric Holder overturn it? Can he overturn North Carolina?
You know, what's most important is the interaction between where the lines are between our federal jurisdiction and our state jurisdiction. The Attorney General of the United States is, that individual holds a lot of authority. But the courts, our federal and our state courts, and people think of it as sometimes as sort of a fixed status between the federal and the state courts. The reality is that every day in courtrooms all across the country. It's a dynamic change and shifting and fluid environment where we're thinking about how far can the federal authority go in this particular nuanced issue or set of facts, and where can the state courts step in, and where the state general assemblies or state houses. I don't think too much of, look, I have my own thoughts about, I have my own thoughts about Eric Holder and some of my personal disappointments in some of what he has done. But to answer your question, it's a great question. I've not had it before. Mostly what I think about is, how far can we go? What is our authorities? What is our remaining authority as a state of North Carolina to govern? Given that we have a heavy apparatus from the federal bureaucracy. But I don't think much about that, because our interactions are mostly between where can we go, how far can we go, in terms of spreading our wings as a state of North Carolina. I didn't answer your question very well, but I don't think much about what he does in terms of our day-to-day work at the Supreme Court, or at any court, at where we are in our courts.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. We're going to do